This is Bill, and I'm going to show you how to cover a Bible. Maybe it's an old Bible that's falling apart, maybe it's a brand new Bible, but you bought one with a cheap cover or you just don't have the cover that you want. And you might even start with something like this. This is a Gideon's New Testament and Psalms that I'm going to cover, and hopefully you'll end up with something that looks like that. Just a nice cover. If you want snaps on it and all that, you can do all kinds of things, use your creativity, and have a lot of fun. The most important thing is to make sure that you have a cup of tea or coffee, something to keep yourself hydrated, in a nice Talbot Seminary mug right there. All right, let's learn how to cover the Bible. Here we go. Okay, first you're going to need to think about your tools, and they're really simple. For just the basic cover, you need something to measure with. This is also a straight edge, or you can measure off with a tape measure. And you need something to cut with. These are kind of fancy scissors, either scissors or a straight edge, and I kind of use both. But you need a certain kind of cement. I use contact cement. There's also rubber cement. I like this better. You don't have to use as much and you don't get big bumps underneath. You'll need a putty knife to smooth that stuff out once you put it on. Then if you're going to put a flap over it so that it kind of looks like this when you're done, you're going to need the tools to fasten those snaps, which will probably include a hole punch of some kind, and you can do one tool that puts both sides of the snaps on, and you may need a hammer or a mallet depending on what you're doing. And here's just an assortment of different ways to fasten. Don't have time to tell you what they're all about. You can find a lot of this stuff at Tandy Leather. If you've got a Bible that's kind of falling apart, you're going to need something like this. It's a gauze or a binding mesh or binding tape. It goes by different names, but something to wrap around, and we'll show you how to do that when we get to that point. And of course you need the leather or whatever you're going to cover it with, assortment of different colors and different thicknesses. This is kind of like a basketball leather. This right here is actually not bad material to cover a Bible with. It's kind of thin, but it's totally up to your taste, your creativity. So that's basically what you're going to need to get this done. And also you're going to have, if you're going to fasten those snaps on there, you're going to want to have something really firm that you can drive down against if you use a different kind of a fastening method than this. And I'll show you both options, but maybe something like a big block of wood that you can put the leather up on and smack it down. All right? So we're going to get started here. Okay, we're going to recover this fine New International Version Bible. It's got kind of a cheap cover on it, so we want to put a good leather cover on. And you want to take the old one off. Now it's very important that when you take this off, that you start with the spine. You're going to see that there's distance between the leather or the cover and the spine, and you want to cut right through there all the way down without cutting the book itself. So we need to cut that very carefully. Okay, we're going to cut off this old cover. Make sure that you're sliding your knife, your razor knife or your scissors between those two and get that started. That's the hardest part of recovering a Bible, is having the courage to cut off that old cover. And just go all the way down, and once you get it started, it's going to come off pretty easy. All you're doing is slicing straight down the spine of the Bible without cutting, and I'll show you when we get done, without cutting the book itself. You don't want to cut through that part. There you go. That's the most frightening part, because you don't want to cut this spine. Once you've cut through the center of the spine on this old cover, you want to carefully pull away from the spine. Now there's no guarantee that it's going to come off in one piece, or that you won't take some of that paper on the inside. You want to keep as much of this as you can. They're making these thinner all the time, but you don't want to start from here because it's more than likely to tear on you. So you want to start from this back part and always pull away from the spine towards this edge. Okay, and we'll show you when it's done. So this is coming off pretty smooth, and so we don't have a whole bunch of big rough spots on the middle. So anyway, we're almost there. Just do this carefully, and you'll have some of that. Don't try to pick it up right away. Wait till you get to the end. You can probably come back and get that. Careful there. I think it's all right. All right. halfway there. So when you get something like this where the edges are sort of, some of them are left, you just go back and you peel that. I've already peeled that a little bit. But you just carefully try, as I said, to peel away from those edges. Get down here, and you're just going to have to be patient with it and be careful with it, because you don't want this edge to fray on you badly. Okay. You want to make sure that you get all this heavier leather out here, that stuff off. So you're just left with this one page, which in this case is a pretty nice thick page. I think it'll make a good backing for the new cover. So just carefully. You don't want to see it fray. If it frays, it's not the end of the world. You can fix it. You can still work with it. But it's nice to have as nice an edge there as you can get. So carefully. Inevitably, sometimes if you do this enough times, you're going to have places where you rip a little bit, but the cover, when you put the leather over, it's going to overlap it, and you won't see it. It'll glue down nice. So you just got to, when you have that happen, you just got to come back and be patient and scrape down the little bits that are hanging over and get it level, and you're ready to put the glue on. There's no two Bible covers that come off exactly the same. Both of these are new. This was a new NIV. This is a new sort of paperback Gideon Bible. I'm not taking that cover off. I'm just going to glue right on top of it. You might want to rough it up a little bit, sometimes with sandpaper if you have a real glossy cover. If not, on this one I doubt that I will, because it's kind of rough already. But you have no two that will come off exactly the same. Old Bibles will sometimes come off easier. The brand new ones where that glue is new and tight, you may come up with little pieces where it rips. That's not the end of the world. You can fix that and still make it work well. This Bible's in perfect shape because it's brand new, but you know that there are times when you get a Bible where certain sections of it are falling apart or it's cracked, and so you may have to do some repair. What you do is, once you get the cover off, you take some of this material, it's very see-through, it's like a screen, and you cut enough of it that you want about 1.5 to 2 inches on both sides of the Bible. So you'll put that down, cut it so that it maybe goes up to about that point on both sides. So you don't want it overhanging. And you'll take the rubber cement and just glue right over top of that and glue it down. And then you will glue it to the spine as well. So glue on this side, glue on the spine, and then glue on the other side up to about 2 inches. And just make sure that that's as tight as you can get it. When the glue obviously goes through the screen really well, and you want to let that dry for whatever the drying time is on the bottle or on the can that you're using. But that's going to give your Bible as much integrity and tightness as you can possibly get it. You might want to take it to a bookbinder if you're a little scared about it, and it's a very, very valuable old Bible. But for most of mine, I do it myself. The first time I ever did this, somebody told me to use a piece of t-shirt material. It worked okay, but it left a ridge that you could see through the cover once it was on. So there you have it. And there is the cover with a Raiders fan holding it.
Raiders.
And that's before we put any kind of fastener around it. The edges are trimmed and it's ready for use.